hear me now, right? Thank you. Yeah, so that was just a little bit. I just came back from mime school, so consider that an overlap. This is Zach from GBC. Yes, today's been a little bit scattered. If people I've not even posted this, I had a flat tire on my car, which had a good Samaritan help me fix. And otherwise, I may not be here doing the broadcast. Would one thing. Obviously, my didn't have a spare tire tube for my car. We have Sam Ames on from Rock Cobbler, and quick little sidebar here. I guess I had accidentally on one platform said that this was going live tomorrow. We have a bunch of feeds from yesterday for people that comments that they thought that it was on. So I guess that kind of tells you a little bit about the popularity of this, and people trying to squeeze every piece of information out for Sam. So we're going to bring everyone in, and let's just talk Cobbler. It's Cobbler time. Hello, hello. Hi, Sam.
Woo!
Well, welcome to 2026.
Oh my God.
Yes, Vic? We're going to have to get Vic out of here. But we can see you, Vic, and we can see you, Sam. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you guys for having me, as always.
Well, I don't know what your feelings are in numerology, whether, I know 10, Rock Cobbler 10 was an important number, and it looked like you kind of pulled out some of the stops for that one. And I don't know, 13 might be some type of number as well. How are you feeling about 13.0?
Well, I guess I would say I'm a little bit numeric or into numerology. I think everybody looks at anniversaries, right? 5, 10, 15, 20. We've been, in the Cobbler crew, we've been having this joke about 13.0 of, it vacillated. It was like, should we make it the stupidest, hardest cobbler ever just to make it unlucky? Or do we make it lucky, unlucky, and, do some things that sort of make people feel a sigh of relief if you're superstitious that way. So as always, I keep a lot under wraps, and we'll just see what you guys get. But pretty pleased with how things are coming together with the route, all the fun that we have at the venue. So I'm going to say it's going to be a lucky 13. How's that?
Well, there's such things as good luck and bad luck. So
yeah, that's true. Can go either way.
Well, I have a few notes about last year's, which definitely had a few different twists in there as well. First of all, you had a new starting point, which took us out to the east side instead of kind of the central part. And it was interesting. I always get questions every year about what tire width should I use? And I kind of thought about it because I remember in 11, I started off with a fatter tire, and we were starting out of central Bakersfield. And, the first 7-8 miles, because we're getting out of town to the east side, were road, and people were really hammering it, pace line, Peloton style. And I was, was like, maybe I should use skinnier tires. But now that we are right there on the east side, right in the middle of it, I had my 55s on, and they seem to be pretty well. So, I mean, we're going back to the same start around Lake Ming. So give people a little bit more update on that.
Yeah, so same venue as last year. The couple of things that happened. So last year, the Stramler Park, which was the venue we had for 11.0, was being renovated. So I'm happy that the county is putting some money into that venue. It's a very cool central spot. We loved it. And it's always difficult to move because every time you move, you have, new things to do to make that venue work. But last year was so well received by participants, people that came and camped and brought their RVs or Sprinter vans or, what have you. Not to mention just the general Cobbler compound people were just super happy. So Stramler Park was available. We elected to not use it and stay where we were. It was nice to be out of town. It was quieter. We kind of have the place to ourselves. We didn't have to deal with in-town elements. So yeah, we'll be back at the Piles Picnic Ground. It did pose challenges, when we looked at the route distances. You go so far east, which is where all the good stuff is. If you lose 10 or 15 or 20 miles of some of that ingress and egress with the bike path that we have, where do you make that up? So blessed to continue to have good relationships with the private landowners. So we've inked, we did it last year and we've done the same thing this year. New stuff, new elements, new places. Some things will be the same just because they're connectors. But yeah, it's come together nicely, and I really love the venue. The venue has other things that logistically as a promoter and with me and my team work better. So and plenty of parking. So it was a win-win, and I think everybody really loved the venue.
Yeah, it seemed to work out pretty well, especially the people camping there.
Yeah.
It just it's a little further east, but I think that is like a big plus, and kind of for people that are staying there nearby, takes away the added level of planning and getting out the door. So yeah, I heard a lot of positive things for the campers there. Victor, who is a camper at times. Are you on the same video as us, Vic, or are you watching on the program? You're doing two Zooms at once?
No, I had technical difficulties with my phone and with my computer. So I'm here.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about camping, but we're going to move on.
Camping. I'm going to camp for Rock Cobbler.
Yeah, boy.
In the beautiful parking lot.
Well,
it's got a nice view of the mountains.
Oh, it's going to be the mountains?
A nice view of the mountains. It'll
nice
we'll
view.
have good weather.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a new spot, Vic, but you can rewind and watch the first 5 minutes of this.
All right. Is it better?
Oh yeah, way better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
The other note, which was like a pleasant surprise, and I know your event is different than others in that a lot of people say stick with the ride with GPS, but yours is follow the arrows no matter what. And I know like early on, the first section of dirt that we hit wasn't on the map, but it was that little BMX S loop that, at first I know like going off into the dirt, everyone was like, oh, come on, I don't want any extra miles. But that it was so much fun. That was a lot of joy. And I haven't asked you about that. Was that something planned or was that something thrown in at the last second?
Okay. Well, I realized, so I'll answer that, but I realized I didn't comment on your tire selection. It's tires are that conversation that we could talk about for 12 hours, right? Every year I get countless emails. What tires should I run? What width? What do you think about your soil? I'm not a meteorologist, and don't ask me about tires. Like 35 to 44 for me is sort of that sweet spot. I know for some people now that's like the smaller size, but you guys have been, there's mostly dirt, some pavement. Ride what you're comfortable for handling. This is a bike handler's course, as you both know. So if you were going to sum it all up, it's like, don't worry about speed, worry about what works best for you to handle your bike. So that's kind of my dissertation on tires. I run 42s, front and rear. I've run 38 rear, 42 front. That's about as big as I go, right? I'm an old school cyclocross guy that came from 32 millimeter tire generation. And I've ridden up to almost a 2.0 on some 650s. It's a lot of fun. So I just go back to, ride what you want to do. To your point about last year, yes, that was a bit of a throw it in at the last minute scenario. So there were some motorcycle tracks and, whoop-de-doos and all the stuff that you guys went through that was not part of the course plan. And one or two of my guys sort of took it upon themselves to have fun with that and go, this is right here, let's run it through it. So when I even got to it on the moto, I was like, what the heck? So, but everybody laughed and had a good time, and it was fun. This year's course map will be, barring weather problems, because that's why we have that caveat, will be identical to the route map. Now, you both also understand that in the foothills of East Bakersfield, it's 17 trails within 1,000 yards. So sometimes this one over here matches this one here, and GPS does funny things. But I would say that this year's route will be pretty identical. The only changes we would make is if we have really bad weather and we have to change the sections. But we want that breadcrumb trail to be accurate, or at least a good guideline. So this year should match that up pretty well, with plenty of fun stuff.
For sure. I mean, I think like last year, starting out further east, gave you an opportunity to add more dirt miles out there. And, Vic and I being out there, was about a week and a half ago. First of all, the greenness is amazing. Our video is going to come out in a couple days of our Send It Grizzly cycles, and not just the views, but also the surface was in pretty good shape. With the right, and it's interesting here, because we got like high intensity rains, and we have a lot of really deep ruts in our area, but it didn't seem like it was as problematic there in Bakersfield. And I know you're not going to throw somebody down a nice 2-inch rut and then let everyone pile up.
Never say never.
Oh, great. It's my fault.
And Zach, to be fair, the first downhill we did out of Grizzly, there was a giant rut in the middle of that thing. So.
Yeah. Well, that was like an audible, and that was not. We'll figure it out better next time. But it was still doable. It just took a little slowing down, and that's no problem. But I mean, you've been out there scouting, and is there going to be a lot of new stuff here this time, or a mixture, sweating to the oldies? I don't know.
Yeah. So, I'm looking out my dining room window right now. The weather has been right before Christmas. We've had a ton of fog, and when the fog sets in the valley, everything stays wet. I mean, all morning long, all evening long, there's like a 2 or 3 hour window, depending upon where you are in town, of dryness. So some of the heavy rain that you guys got, we got good amounts, but we didn't get that. There's new ruts and things form all the time, but it's staying so green because it's so wet and cold. And we haven't had those big popping 75-degree days end on end. I think we had about 2 weeks where it was pretty good. And then, every day now is back to like dreary London fog day. So I'm thankful for that because it keeps it green, because I want it green. But to the course. So without giving too much away, this year's version is, each year we kind of flip-flop it counterclockwise, clockwise. This will be a bit of a clockwise version of last year. So we will head in a different direction to begin. 2 or 3 new sections, same property, but some new stuff. Trying to keep a lot of flow in the beginning. We've got to get to that property. So some of the things in the foothills will be maybe new to some people. A mishmash of others will have, we kind of came through here at this time. We tried for 1 or 2 other new sections, some new property owners, and we were not able to secure it. It was not relevant. It was just fun if we could get it. But so we're kind of going to go clockwise. And then for the cobblers and boulders, there are some other new sections. actually kind of a brand new discovery that we found during the Rock Cobbler trail run in November. Trying to smooth a few punchy things out and give some new navigational excitement. So yeah, we've thrown a few new elements in. Some things, as I mentioned earlier, the connectors, you can't get around them because you've got to get from A to B in a particular fashion. But we're going to hit the full cobbler route this Saturday, and we'll be able to have better ideas. We always do sections. We do a little bit here, a little bit there. This weekend, we're going to do the full enchilada, so we'll have it wrapped up, I hope.
You said navigational excitement. What'd you say?
Navigational excitement. Yes.
What does that mean?
That's some serious words.
Any number of things, Vic. It can mean like frustration, excitement. Why am I doing this? I don't know if this is better than what he thought we were going to do. I mean, it's interpretable.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Well,
some people get excited over really bad things, and some people get excited over things that don't make sense, and some people just go, give me what you got.
Well, I threw up Ali's comment. This will be your first year. I try and think of like tips to try and tell people the first time. And I was actually thinking about this today, that, I mean, whenever I do a ride over 60 miles, my feet really start to hurt, but it's a little trickier on the cobbler because of the hike-a-bikes. And I feel like, it's not a motion you normally do with your shoes, stretching them out. And I find sometimes while like tighten my shoe because I'm stretching it out on the hike-a-bikes, and then I won't loosen them. And then at the very end, it really chaps me on the way in. And I think the one thing was like last year I was using the Quacks that only have the single dial. And was I hurting at the end. So I'm definitely going to try and go for a double dial, possibly even laced shoes for it. But I'm wondering, like, is there any insider tips that I've missed over the years?
Well, I don't know, shoes. To preface for people that are new, so to your person that put on like this is my first time, the hike-a-bike specifically, not sections on the course, but the thing that we purposely do, because people get to it and I'm like, all right, why are we doing this? There's clearly a way around this, or do it. It just sort of harks from, when we were first starting this and we didn't really, we got to some parts of land and we're like, I don't really know where this goes or how does this work. So it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek joke about you got to hike up this to get from here to there, because we literally had to do it in order to get back to wherever. So we throw it in every year, and people are good sports about it, and it's become sort of one of our, telltale things. But, cycling shoes, you want stiffness and power delivery and efficiency of the pedal when you're pedaling, but a really stiff sole pulls, it doesn't bend. It's like a ski boot. So your heel's coming out when you're hike-a-biking. I'm not going to advocate that people have to go out and buy special footwear. I'm blessed to have a little bit of variety in my shoes. And I think I would really work more around the shoe that works best for you cycling. It's comfortable, it fits well. Make sure you've mitigated hot foot, and hopefully you worked with a bike fitter, how to do some of that stuff. But I have shoes that will not bend. I mean, they're like on the stiffness scale, they're like an 11. And just like you said, Zach, I tighten the heck out of them and get through that thing. And then if they're too tight, pop them loose when you get done. So, even though we have fun with a hike-a-bike, I am sensitive after 13 years of people that are new to gravel. And, I want to keep them on their bike. I don't want people walking all day long. Like, some sections are just physically demanding. And as you and I discussed earlier, it's nice to get off your bike and, use a different muscle group from time to time. But I don't want everything to be, hiking. So the purposeful hike-a-bike is a little tamer this year. And there'll be plenty of challenging sections. And then there's the weather, right? We don't know what the weather's going to do. If we get that wet carpet, that we had 2 years ago that was so rideable but so soft. That puts people off their bike, even if it's a climb that's normally very rideable, because it just is so saturated. So we'll keep an eye on the weather and see what that does.
Yeah. I know like CJ's got those little cleats in the front of his shoes that seem like they're genius. And other thing, don't bring a frame bag.
No.
Unless you figured out some other way of carrying your bike, probably not a smart idea.
I mean, you guys know, and people that don't know, it's well supported. You won't need to start with a bunch of food and drinks unless you have a very specific dietary requirement. 4 aid stations minimum, 5 if we need it. I think 2 for the cobbler and 2 for the pebbler and 4 for the cobbler and boulders, 5 for the boulders, works well. But unless you really don't want to carry, a vest or gloves or things in your jersey or your bib shorts if they're cargo, I'm just going to say less is more on the bike. Keep the bike light, keep the hand positions maximal for carrying it if you need to, and just keep the weight down. We're not bike camping here. We're going to do anywhere from 5 to 8 hours and 9 hours and go from there.
Vic, you're muted.
Sorry, I was saying my first cobbler, I brought way too much stuff.
Oh, I remember.
I had a frame bag. It was packed. I had everything, and I didn't use any of it, and it just made the bike heavy, and it was ridiculous. So I'll do that again.
I tell people, bring the essentials to work on your bike. So if you get a flat or you have a multi-tool that has a chain breaker on it, just bring the basics. Don't worry about food and drink unless you absolutely have to have something specific, and you'll be taken care of on the rest of it.
Yep.
I'm just gonna play last year's video just on the side. If people have no idea what we're talking about, it's just there. We may or may not comment on it. It's up to you, but just as an idea. And this was the added section at the very beginning, but and the refrigerator too. Okay, maybe it's not a good idea that I throw this on because last year I was so excited to start, I didn't even shoot an intro, and I realized that about 15 miles in. So that's going to be an improvement. The other thing is this is year 3 of the Boulder, and I know it's only limited to 50 people, and that's an extended cobbler, but is there any, are you heading out to the typical section you normally head out, or do you have plans to maybe turn that into a bigger ultra type of an event, or?
So we will do the normal extended section. I mean, this is the only time I will give away, exact specifics, but we typically send them up Rancheria, and it's just such a great connector. It works well. We did look really hard this summer at a couple of new spots. Unfortunately, and they worked, equally as well. We were not able to get permission. And so it's some landowners that we've not worked with. So, we're blessed to have the private property that we have, and you have to think about what makes logistical sense. I always want it unique, and if I can add new things that are super unique, I will. Not giving up. There's some other things that we have to look at, but a lot of that stuff takes time, and it's getting to the right person. So in short, to answer your question, the boulders will do their normal extended 25-ish miles of other stuff. Also weather plays a part in that. And so we'll keep an eye on the weather thing, but we limit it to 50 just because it's additional efforts and labor and staffing and whatnot. And we did that originally to test the waters, but I think that's also kind of the sweet spot. I actually didn't put a cap on our registration. So by the time we get to the 7th, if there's 75 people in there, then there's 75. But it does add, quite a bit more vert and quite a bit more mileage. So it's, If you want more, they can have more.
Well, oh boy, I forgot what my question. I went a little bit too far ahead of myself here. Yeah. Well, on the opposite side, like I know that that the Pebbler, you're getting a lot more people out for the Pebbler too, and I think that people are enjoying that as an entry too. Getting back a little bit earlier, they get a pretty much a big part of the cobbler experience without the added miles. But now I remember what I was going to say is that I saw someone commented earlier, are you going to release the route? And I know part of the reason you don't release the route is this is a lot in private land, so you don't want to send people out there early. But on top of that, like logistically, like I said, providing support on land that is not publicly accessible, you do a fantastic job there too, because it's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, well, the biggest part is the first thing. So the relationships with the private landowners goes back to year one, and the early stuff was sort of friend of a friend, and we never want to jeopardize those relationships. So part of the agreements that we sign when we do leasing for the day, so to speak, for the cobbler is we won't publicize the routes any further in advance than we have to. Keep it limited to the ride day and then the course marking that we do before. And that's just a courtesy, but it's important because if we have people, gosh forbid, trespassing, then it'll kill the event. So so far in 13 years, we've never had a problem, and that's why we do it. But getting vehicles and aid stations and people to those spots, because it's not public, also poses logistics. You want to, mileage wise, I want an aid station here, and my course support guy has to get water there. He's got to get things there. It's not always very easy, and so we work really hard to try to make sure we have the amenities at a place that logistically makes sense. So yes, the private property is invaluable. We couldn't really do the cobbler nowadays like we do it without it. So we have to preserve it, and I really appreciate everybody being respectful of that. And everybody that's registered will get their route on February 1st.
Yeah, I know. That's almost it's like Amazon Prime Day.
Right?
People wait for that. They are sitting by their computers. They can't wait for the email, and I think that is part of the fun of everything is, that the route changes every year. People are excited, and then that's half the fun, is because like I don't until I see the route, like I'm not totally firm on exactly what I'm going to do, what type of tires, maybe different type of setup. You really have to plan out your strategy for it. And I think that whether it's intentional or not, like is a lot of the joy of the cobbler. I know people always are like, how am I supposed to sign up for something if I don't know what the route is? But I think that you've just built up so much, we'll call it goodwill, over the years.
Well, it's, most people, look, I've been doing this for 40 years, and I'm at a point in my life where I just want to go ride my bike and have a great time. And I look at the logistics and, some of the basics, how much elevation, what's the mileage. And I think if people are new, yes, of course, it's intimidating to not have a lot of specifics. But look, you guys know, even once we reveal the route, you can still look at it and go, well, I'm still basically looking at the same data. What's the distance? What's the elevation gain? Oh, I see where these mile markers are for where there's going to be a steep climb or something. So you can piece together some stuff. But we've had people do that to no end, and then they still get out there. And because I've had buddies of mine come back to me and say, yeah, we were riding with these guys, and they're like, hey, this is the last climb, right? And they'll ask them, like, well, did you look at the route file? Yeah, oh yeah, man, we studied it. And you're like, then you know this is not the last climb. So until you're in the element, it's so difficult. Like, it's so hard to sort of figure out what it's going to do. But yeah, I mean, we like that mystique. People ask, like, when's the route done? It's not done until 2 days before the event. That's why we reserve that right. And I always look at it this way. If I get excited about the route and the people that help me get excited about the route and they like the way it links, then it's a win, because some of these things are things we get to do a lot. So we're always trying to keep it unique. Some stuff has to stay the same, but even if it's a 16th of a mile, that's something new, it's something new. Because 60% of our rider base is returns, 40% is new people. And so for that 60, we work hard to try to go, hey, we did this trail instead of this trail, or here's 5 miles of something totally new.
Yeah, I know, like, if I said, hey, Vic, let's just do a Saturday ride where we do about 80 miles, 9,000. Like, if I showed Vic this route, he would kill me if we did it. But there's just something, I don't know, and it's nothing that I've experienced in other events. It's just this feeling that we're all in it together. We're all doing something that's crazy. And because of that, it pushes you there. And then just finishing it makes you just feel so fulfilled, kind of like going places that that you just don't think you would normally go cycling. And I think you just see it at the finish line where, all those tables, people are there eating, swapping stories, even though you hadn't seen any of these people out there.
I'm going to crash.
It's just euphoric when you finish and complete it. And I don't know what the formula is, how you were able to do it, but it's just something that happens. And yeah, there's about like 10% of me, it's like, oh man, I don't want to do it. But once I'm out there, I'm just so glad. I'm so glad. And I just always think back that that's the reason why I keep coming back, is everyday life, you don't really push your limits that much.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Well, I mean, that's making me blush a little bit. That's why we do the Cobbler. I think at the end of the day, we chatted off camera about, I work hard to keep the event affordable. It's an expensive event to do, and it is business for me. Of course, it's business, but the biggest promoter, quote unquote, of the event are people like you that come and walk away with that experience. I did a podcast with Dave Toll, and he brought up this scenario that I have to share with you guys because it's along the same vein. Our greatest joy is going out and finding these trails, doing this stuff, and sharing Bakersfield and Kern County. Bottom line, end of the day, we'll do it. And we'll do it if it's not profitable for the foreseeable future, because we truly love doing it and we're passionate. And the team that I have is like-minded people that love to do it. But the biggest compliment is from people like you and people that come and do it. And last year, I got this card, and I told Dave this story on his podcast, from a gal named Claire, and she had written this little thank you note, and I got busy and put it in my stuff and didn't think a lot about it, respectfully, but I just forgot, So I was cleaning and organizing the trailer and pulled out registration supplies and was separating things, and I came across this card. And I read it, and it made me cry. Like, it was very heartfelt, and it was sort of, thank you for doing this for all of the people that have become, a part of the Cobbler family and come here to play bikes once a year. And one of her lines that I just love was, we are the group of misfit toys. And I know what she meant. She meant, like, not that cyclists are odd people or, whatever else. It was people that sort of get what we've put out there 13 years ago. Because I told you guys when we first started getting to know each other, I was like, nobody's going to do this. Nobody's coming. is this going to be a complete tongue-in-cheek failure? And then, we had 50 people and then 150. So that following that we've created is about those elements. It's about the party afterwards. It's about, oh my God, that thing I can't believe he sent us down the cow trail of death. All of that stuff compounds and adds. And that is our biggest compliment, is the people that get what we do, love what we do, and can create friendships and relationships and have a good time. It's every year my team and I, pre and post event, are grateful that people get it. So that's the joy.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a few events that just kind of feel like a family reunion. Sea Otter, Mammoth Tough, just the environment is a real coming together. You see people all across the state come out to it. And I mean, that's part of the whole atmosphere too. This is a good question, and something I don't know if I've ever answered before. I've seen it kind of on the north end. Explain the orange-brown turf.
Yes, I can do that. So on the north side of Round Mountain Road, which is the main oil field road that kind of cuts through public property, basically the Kern River's on the south side, and then ranch property and oil property on the north side that we do cut through. The orange AstroTurf covers and helps part of the beautification of containment. So it's as it was explained to me by a friend of mine who works for the company that owns the property. It's not like a hazardous landfill spot, but there was a lot of, obviously a lot of drilling and a lot of oil exploration out there. So that area was, I think it was sort of understood as a potential slide area. So the AstroTurf just kind of covers the ugliness of the digging in the terrain and the deposition of the stuff. So that's what that does, is it's basically cover for, a portion of oil property that's not very sightly. And then, and it's been out there. There's a bit of it right there in your video for quite a long time. Yeah. I don't know if anything I said made any sense, but it has to do with oil property and it looking halfway decent.
Yeah. I mean, it is definitely something that you focus on out there, because it looks so different than anything. And then once you think, you're like, okay, it looks like we're heading in that direction. I'll figure it out once we get there. And then you're like, no, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So this year's route won't quite get to it. We'll be above and beyond that a little bit with some new sections. But that road actually, for people that are into archaeology, has access to a place called Sharktooth Mountain. So it's been famous in that arena over the years for, fossils and whatnot. So there's a lot of that going on out there, and it sort of, that road sort of serves two purposes for access. So kind of an interesting tidbit of where they find whale skulls and shark's teeth and stuff like that.
Interesting. I threw that kind of in the video coming up Thursday. Maybe I put it the wrong place, but I guess people will add that to the comments. We'll get back to the cobbler in a little bit, but another thing I wanted to bring up, and I had a lot of questions, was year one of the run cobbler. And I wish physically I could run long distances. I really want to do a running version of the cobbler, obviously not the same distance. But I mean, we're seeing Sea Otter is adding a trail run this year. I love the crossover that we're having a little bit more. What brought you to this idea to also add a run to this? Or I mean, it's on a separate date, but just the whole genesis of it.
Yeah, well, from cobblers. So I know that sounds like a weird comment, but probably 7 or 8 years ago, there was some local running enthusiasts, and they rode a little bit, but maybe doing the cobbler ride wasn't their cup of tea. But they were predominantly runners, And some of the people involved in the Cobbler crew grew up as runners, and now they're cyclists. So there's all this sort of blending of people. But I kept getting the same request, like, oh my gosh, I want to run part of this course. We really should do a Cobbler run. How could we do it? But it didn't logistically work, because in order to get people to the good stuff, you got to run for 7 miles on the bike path. It just didn't work. So I knew I couldn't do the event on the same day as the Cobbler ride, because although logistically it would make it easier because everything is in place for toilets and aid stations and all of that, it didn't serve the runners properly. So this past year, with my departure from retail and a full-time job, and that's a whole nother story, I have a little bit more time. So I said, well, let's launch a Cobbler run. And I wasn't ignorant to the fact that trail runs have continued to expand and be popular, but I thought, let's put the Cobbler spin on it, from food and beverage to just shenanigans and having a good time and a good venue. So we did the inaugural Cobbler trail run in November out at Rio Bravo Ranch, and came up with a course that emulates, Cobbler elements, but on the running side. And it was really hard. And I told everybody it was really hard. So, the motivation to do it was just that. It was just people asking for it. And I felt like we can do stuff a little bit different, do it differently than other events are doing, still give away a cool special gift. We gave them all a really cool headlamp, that had the Cobbler logo on it. So something they can go run in the mornings or at night and use, so the continued departure of, medals and awards. So it was well received. We had about 120 runners, which is, for me, it was phenomenal for year number one. Probably could add a shorter 10K distance. This year's was a half marathon and a full marathon, which pretty demanding, also given the elevation. So we may throw in some sort of a 10 or 12K for next year. And then there's the bolder people, right? They're like, can we do 3 laps? And I was like, well, I don't know why you people want to go longer, but they do. So maybe we'll complement all ends of the spectrum and add a little bit more to it. But yes, we'll be back in November with the trail run. It was well received, and it went really well.
Is there a hiking element?
I mean, they're already running, right? So yes, we added, there was a way around a particular cow trail. And what was funny, and you guys have been by it, but there's a shooting range out there on Rio Bravo Ranch. So when we were reconning, I looked at it and I was like, let's just go straight up this thing towards this 1,000-yard target. And it was stupid. Like, it was so steep, but we added that in as their hike-a-bike, if you will. So yes, Vic, we did make them hike more than they already had to hike.
Good.
Yeah. Well, was there also like cyclocross style heckling for the runners, or?
Because so much of it was all in, basically all of it was on the private place, not easy to access. So we did have a lot of on-course, ways to do it. There is somebody that lives out there, and I thought, man, I should go to this guy and see if we could run through his living room or something. But, year one, right? We got to start with the basics and then grow it from there.
Yeah, well, I know year one's always toughest, and then from what I've been hearing, word of mouth is pretty good. And
yeah,
I know we're a cycling channel here, but I definitely applaud anything to get people out onto the trails.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so back to your question, like, that was also the motivation for me was a person that's done the Cobbler said, my wife doesn't ride, but she runs, or my husband or boyfriend or brother, sister, whoever is into trail running, and they did the event and they're like, oh my God, you got to do something for them. So that is also, part of the motivation from where it started was offer something for that arena of people. So I'd love to keep that going, and I think we can keep tweaking it to deliver. But we did fun stuff. The one shenanigan we did have on the run that we've not been able to do on the ride because it's just too many people is one of the aid stations had a couple of pellet guns, and so we set up the infamous life-size Sam and stuck balloons on it so people could pop the balloon and get a chance to win $50. So I got shot in the crotch a lot and it was very disturbing to me. And in the head, I got shot in the two main portions, of this poster of me. So, to the point where it wouldn't really stand up. So we ended up throwing it away. But just want to thank all the Cobbler trail runners for shooting me thoroughly.
But you asked for that, and you put.
I did. I always ask for it.
Ask for that. So that
it's like the middle finger that's become infamous. It's like it is what it is.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Well, jockstrap next year. I don't know.
Maybe.
One thing I brought up earlier was numerology, and it seems like the last few years I've been blessed with number 13. I figured because
how does that happen?
Joey's a pretty responsible person, and I don't know how this who's behind it, because there can't be a committee to always put that. And I figured there's no way this could happen for year 13. So we can put
I'm writing this down right now to make sure that you get number 13 again.
No, it's not going to happen.
No, hang on. Give me a second. It's number 13. Okay, I got it. We're good.
No. Vic, you could be 666.
No, I want 13.
Not quite the race number. I guess we find on a lot of things. But yeah, and I also know there's a bunch of people. Well, I hear all different things. They come the night before, they stay the night after, they make a whole weekend of it. And I think one thing people get wary about is the Super Bowl is always the next day, but the Super Bowl doesn't start till like late afternoon.
Exactly.
So getting start at 3.
Yeah. So I mean, getting out there, I think like for people to stay an extra day, and I'm trying to work my way towards it this year, if my family's watching, to stay an extra night and just kind of like relax. And even though, like, I mean, for me living in the San Fernando Valley, it is so much closer to Bakersfield than Orange County on the weekend with traffic. It is not that far of a drive. And that's why, like, I'm happy to come out to it so many times during the year. But any other pro tips for people who are coming into town for the first time? Uh-oh. Did we lose Sam? Oh, no. Or he's thinking really hard.
He's thinking hard.
Or his brain froze. Well, here's CJ. And CJ, we saw you in the Stinner video. Love it. You're working hard over there. Love those bikes. So if anyone from your workplace wants to join, or if you want to take over the company, you're welcome to come on GBC Live. Yeah, we stayed. I've stayed at the Padre a couple times.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and the Italian restaurant right outside is really good. Right around.
Yeah, down there. And I've yet to stay there. I've stayed there on the Friday night. I think I would love to stay there for the Saturday night. The bar downstairs is really cool. If you are unfamiliar with that hotel, it's a classic 100-year-old hotel, which they've done up and is just exceptional to be in.
It used to be haunted.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I have no idea. My computer just decided to have a mind of its own for a minute.
Well, I think Vic wanted equal time since he blotched out earlier.
Yeah. Sorry, Vic.
But one thing I was just asking was for people that are coming into town that don't know anything about Bakersfield, like pro tips of places to eat before. I know you've got on packet pickup on Friday, you've got food, but like hotels, recommendations along the way.
Yeah. So right before my computer flipped out, sorry about that, was I think we were talking about something else with the venue. I don't know. I had a particular vein of thought. You were talking about people camping and staying over, making a weekend of it in Super Bowl. So this year, I did want to highlight for those that are, if they're on the fence, and I don't know, this isn't maybe a make or break, but we hired, there's a local group of guys, a really cool sort of what we call Bakersfield sound, kind of older Buck Owens, Merle Haggard group called the Soda Crackers. And they're going to play at 3:30 on Saturday for sort of the post-ride enjoyment and entertainment. They're really, really good. So they'll be here. So another reason to stay over and camp Saturday night. So the venue is great. We do have the pasta dinner on Friday night. Of course, all the food's included on Saturday. Super Bowl starts late enough on Sunday, you can still get home. So make a weekend of it and stay. But for those that are coming into town and want to grab a bite and do stuff, oh my gosh, the list is long. Go to local places, find a Basque restaurant would be a great choice. There's several of them, a couple of them on the east side, a couple of them close to the Marriott Host Hotel. That info is on our website at rockcobbler.com. But yeah, you find something that's a local spot, and I don't think you can go wrong. So no need to go to, Chili's or wherever else. Go have fun with a nice Italian place or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what the name of the Italian place is, but we've been there. I like eating. We get there super early because I like eating super early before a ride. But it feels like it could possibly be in Goodfellas. A classic 50s type of joint. We're always pretty well taken care of when we come into town.
Well, if you want that experience, the place I went growing up, if you're not going to do dinner with us on Friday night and you want to go Italian, it's kind of on the east side, not too far from the venue. There's a place called Rose's, and Rose's has been there for 50 plus more, 60 years. So Rose's Italian restaurant, it's on the east side, in the northeast. Great food, leather booths, Chianti bottles with candles in them, imitation grapes, the rubber grapes that, so the whole deal. But I love that place. I grew up in that place. I know the owners. It's awesome. They have great pizza and great Italian. So Rose's restaurant.
So Jeffrey Phillips says Asian Bistro is the bomb.
Asian Bistro. There's a place called the Noodle Bar, but it's pretty far out in the southwest. From the venue, it's a solid 40 minutes. On the east side, not a lot of places. The old school, if you wanted the Chinese food, maybe I wouldn't call it Asian Bistro, but the Chinese food place that's like the Roses, there's a place called Great Castle. And Great Castle is a little bit in the hood, but the food's amazing. They've been there forever also. I go there. I love it. So Great Castle is another good local haunt. Just lock your car.
All right. Well, we could talk Cobbler up until February 7th, but it's probably
we could just keep going.
If Sam probably does a little bit more coursework between now and then, and probably some sleep between now and then. Don't want to filibuster until then because the event won't happen. So, Sam. Oh,
wait, one more thing. I'm sorry. I forgot what year you gave the little shovels away. Like 2 years ago, maybe.
Lights, backpacks. It would have been, I think, year 10. There it is.
That one. So, see how his is all shiny and new? I use mine. I use the crap out of that shovel. I just used it. We just redid our backyard, and I'm digging with my Rock Cobbler shovel. So just to let you know, I love these functional gifts. I mean, it's a shovel. I'm going to dig with it.
It's a good shovel, too.
It is. Yeah. It's great. It's great. And I still have my coffee mug from the first one, too. It's all chipped and beat the hell. I still use that one, too.
Well, we have some good ones laid out this year. Zach, what's it say? It should be 10.0, right?
Yes, 10.0. And the reason why mine is so shiny was I asked you if you had more, and the next year I picked up an extra one. So
attaboy.
Being used. So this will be used at some point.
I love that you just turned around and pulled that out.
I know. How about that?
God,
I am ready for it. And
where do I send the royalty check? Jeez.
the satchel bag,
Yeah.
that
I
was
use that
very
thing all the
creative.
time.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's great. You know,
bag.
yeah.
Yeah,
maybe-
I mean, look, I've been to countless bike races that have given away, I've won money and honestly, if I didn't win, some cash on like true racing, there's not a lot else going on. Maybe you get a certificate or cool merchandise. They give you some bike gear, some stuff. But after year number one, because year number one we give everybody a rock, we sort of upped the gift game, and it was functional gifts since then. And people that love us and follow us. So I think some of the 60%ers that come back, they come back to keep adding to their collection of aprons and shovels and skillets and multi-tools and all the stuff we've done. And it's so fun. I have a lot of fun trying to find this special gift every year. And once again, because I worry every year I'm going to run out, I have another good one that's also very useful. So you'll have to see what it is.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, and we have a special announcement for a company that we've collaborated with called Rowdy Trails. And that you'll see that on social media and our site here real quick. They do event-specific art, and they've done some pretty badass stuff for the Cobbler. It's a choose to purchase kind of a thing. But those guys, Daniel and his partner, are amazing, and I'm super excited what they came up with. So look for a reveal on that the day of the Cobbler, and some teasers before then.
Oh yeah, send it my way.
Rowdy Trails.
I think that we receive pictures and all that all the time, but I think people want to see it. You can't exactly put those pictures up all the time in your house.
Yeah, this is a cool piece of art. They've priced it very affordably. I don't want to give too much away, but I'm very happy that they found us. They sort of choose the people that they want to partner with. So you can see some of their work at rowdytrails.com. And they were nice because they wanted to put it out there like right now. And I was like, well, we do this whole tongue-in-cheek thing with first finisher gifts and stuff. So the first finishers will get one of these. And the other participants will have an opportunity if they choose to purchase. But I'm going to have 2 of them on my wall. It's really pretty cool. So stay tuned on that.
Okay. Well, could use some more real estate taken up.
There you go, more real estate.
Well, Sam, get back to work. Appreciate you coming on. I know you put a lot of love and heart into this, and I think people who show up know it. So, the best love-hate relationship of a bike ride. Everyone is so glad they're able to do it and to push our limits. So thanks again for joining. And I guess we'll see you on the 7th.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me. You and Vic are true cobblers these days, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share the story. And yeah, if you're on the fence, come cobble. It's a great weekend. We're gonna have a good time.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining. Take care.
Thank you guys.